uh, yes, that's right. There's a stream timer, Jake. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to my channel. The Soul Commodore here, coming back at you with some more live art. We're in a different setup today. Just in a new room. That will probably be in for this stream. Possibly the next art stream, but we'll see. But for now, we're just in here. Got a fancy little light back here. It's much easier to direct the direction of the light, which is nice. So yeah. We're gonna be working on this piece again. We might actually get it done. I'm not sure, but we'll see. The important thing is one more follower. Oh, for me to get to 100, yeah. I never did come up with a follower celebration or whatever you want to call it. The important thing is we've got more paint. But Jake from the Woods, how you doing tonight? I hope you're doing well. Just gonna turn this music down just a tad, because we're in closer confines, so the music bounces off the walls a little more in here than it usually does. All right. So we don't need any of the black or white paint right now, but I will need to get more of the cerulean blue. But for now, we don't have to worry about running out of these. So we're going to load up our palette, and this time around, I'm actually going to redo this this window. I think I could do it better in terms of like what this space holds. I've got another idea for it that I think will serve the piece a little bit better. I think, at least, but you redeemed color picker. Well, thank you, Jake, because we are in fact going to be using black. So good choice. That's in fact the perfect choice for what I was going to start with. It's a very astute decision there. So we're just going to get our palette together. Oop. I'll try not to drop the caps. Oh, I meant we didn't need it in terms of like we don't need these two new tubes of black paint that we bought. So, but you're stuck now. And we don't need them because I've got plenty of black. Sad. I mean, if you would like a refund and you want to pick a different color, I can do that. I'm not heartless. Speaking of which, I gotta open up the stream manager. I neglected to do that before the stream started. There we go. No, you stand by your choice? Alright. That's fair enough. That is fair enough. So Jake, since you're here, what do you think would be a nice little celebration for when we get that 100th follow, which we may not even get on stream, but just because I couldn't think of any good ideas. But I know that you're a man of very good ideas. So I lean on your expertise here, because you did do a follower goal, multiple follower goals that have come through. Okay, I think we're going to use this brush to fill in that space again with black. And then we're going to, where's my small brush? There it is. Fans, squirrels, and hats are fantastic ideas, and don't let anybody tell you otherwise. Don't let anybody say anything different. All right, let me angle the camera a bit toward this way. And actually, we're going to move the whole apparatus closer. Oh, that's really on an angle, isn't it? Okay, we're going to move it back this way a bit. Actually, I think we'll move it all the way back over here again, and then just I'm just spitballing here, folks. We're that'll be close enough, I think. So we're gonna fill this space back in with black, and we're gonna try something else. But how's everybody's night going? Jake, I saw that your haggis turned out splendidly. So that's good. What does it taste like? Because I imagine it just kind of tastes like meat. But hey, Danny, thank you for the lurk. Appreciate it. I always feel like somebody's watching me. Also, hello, D. How's it going? Ah, it tastes like meatloaf. Fair enough. Fair enough. That makes sense, actually. That makes a lot of sense. Ah, D's lurking too. All right. Well, thank you for the lurk. I appreciate it. I always feel like somebody's watching me. All right. I'm going to try this once. And then if this thing... you're live. Fair enough, fair enough. Well, I appreciate you lurking while you're live. We're actually going to sit and do this, and I may change my mind because I feel like I don't get enough leverage when I'm sitting and I'm doing a piece, but we'll see. We'll see how it works. So we just got to wait for that to dry. In the meantime, we're just going to scope the rest of the painting, see what else might need to happen. I'm not seeing too much that needs to change. We're almost there with how tacky that paint is. So my idea is I'm going to have a door on the other side of this wall that actually the staircase leads. Actually, I don't know. Because I did want this to be kind of like, where do these stairs go? So I don't know, maybe I scrap the window altogether and just have this remain a wall. I don't know. There's some decisions to be made. And I haven't made any yet. I don't know, maybe it makes for a stronger piece, a better piece if there's just one window. Well, let's do my idea, and then if I'm still not cool with it, then we'll take the window out, and we'll just have one window. That'll be the best idea, I think. Just try it, and if it doesn't work, then we scrap it. I think that's the best course of action. And I hope you all agree. See, that's what I was worried about with this chair. It's very squeaky. I put WD-40 on it and everything. But, okay. I'm just going to come over here and take a look at a reference image that I think I took of an exit sign at night. I'm fairly sure I took one. Alright, where are you? It's the only downside to taking as many pictures as I do. You you don't always know where they end up. But that's okay. Thankfully, I think I've got enough of a grasp of the light that I know what it should look like. You also get to see the funny faces I make when I scroll through things. And an up-close person to look at my teeth. Man, I need to go to the dentist. I'm glad that I got this job and that benefits will kick in soon because I really need to go to the dentist. Well, there's a red light in that image. That might be the closest we get. And if that's the case, then that's the case. Yeah. Alright, we're just going to use a random house with a red light as our reference. Cool. That works. Okay. So we're going to need our small brush and this brush as well. And our newly acquired... Where'd you go? Our newly acquired red paint. Don't need a whole lot of it, but it is definitely going to help if we want to paint something red to have red paint on our palette. The music might stop for just a second here. There we go. I like to drop it because I'm using a YouTube video for the music. I like to drop the quality all the way down. So that there's just that much less using up the bandwidth. I mean, thankfully we've got very, very good internet, and we don't really have to worry about bandwidth dropping, and dropping frames and all that, unless the internet itself is kind of out of sorts. But okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to get some red, get some black, mix that together, and then just kind of map out very lightly the framing of this room. our start. We're going to have red or light up here as we come down. We're just trying things here, and you know, it may end up that nothing we try works, and we just go back to square one, but that's fine. This chair, my goodness. Hey Zell, how's it going? How's it going? Thank you for the lurk. You know what's coming. I always feel like somebody's watching me. Hope you're having an okay day today, buddy. And thanks for tuning in. Going to continue to blend this out. As we go. Yeah, I think that looks all right. This room does have a little bit more glare than the room we're usually in. So I'm going to have to work around that a bit, but that's okay. That's fine. We're going to figure that you got the same amount of room in this room. In terms of like where the ceiling is. So we're going to just lay that down. For the ceiling. Oh. Oh, this chair. So we'll make this the corner of the room. What happens if I turn this light away? Do I get less glare? Slightly less glare. Excuse me while I just play with the camera for a minute. I want to see how far this will extend out. It's not too bad actually. Maybe give you a little bit of a better look of what we're doing. And then maybe reintroduce this light a little bit. This will be easier to move with two hands. There we go. We'll try that. We'll straighten this up a bit. Yeah. And I'll try not to sit right in front of it. So this is where the ceiling ends. So we're going to need some more red just to define that a little better. I wanted to say thank you to Soul and Zell for inspiring me to go retro. Hey, no problem, no problem. I'm glad we inspired you. Also, I watched back the VOD of my stream the other day, and I realized that you had actually said, Jake, that you weren't going to, you were going to play it, Link to the Past. It is Link to the Past, right? You were going to play Link to the Past off stream, but I missed the off part, so I'm sorry if hey, Delirium, thank you so much for the follow. This chair. Okay, I'm gonna give up on this chair. But thank you very much for the follow. Welcome to the channel. I hope you enjoy yourself. And it did happen. Congratulations, you are the 100th follower of my channel. I have no prizes or anything to to commemorate it, but thank you sincerely. I really do appreciate it, and I hope you enjoy what you see here from here on out. It happened. It did happen. It's amazing. Bringing up the century. Yeah, that's kind of ridiculous. 100 followers. That's ridiculous. Actually, I'll tell you what we're going to do to celebrate. Because I can't use this chair anymore because it squeaks too much. I am going to... Wait, no cash prize? Nah, sorry. If you want to give me money, and then I'll give it back to you and pretend like there was an exchange of goods, we could do that. But yeah, no, welcome to the channel, welcome to the chat. Thank you very much for the follow. I really do appreciate it. To celebrate, though, because I am going to have to get lower to actually work on this window, I'm going to go get a pillow that I can kneel on. So I will be right back in like 30 seconds or less. And we will continue. But yeah, I will be right back. And we're back. And I hope that was 30 seconds or less, otherwise I am a liar, and I apologize. But we got our pillow. But yeah, welcome Delirium. I hope you're having a good day. Hope you're having a good night, or whatever time of day it is for you. I hope you're having a good one. Right now we're just putting the finishing touches on this piece, and I'm experimenting with putting something in this window here. I'm good. Sort of getting over a sore throat. It's not nearly as sore as it was now, so we're heading in the right direction. Unfortunately, my girlfriend kind of caught it. She's got a sore throat today, so whatever it is that I had, she now has. But otherwise we're doing good. We're doing good. Glad to hear you're well as well. But yeah, we're just finishing up this painting. We're just trying some stuff, see if we could put something in this window next to this one that looks halfway decent. And if it doesn't turn out halfway decent, then we scrap it, paint over it with just some black and a little bit of red to match the backing color. And then we try something else. Oh, that's a little bit too dark. Ooh, yeah. Yeah, there was plenty of that going around. Well, actually, more from my girlfriend. I'm not a huge fan of tea, but I did drink some hot liquids with some honey in it. Yeah, but we yep. Hopefully by tomorrow I'll be feeling like back to 100%. That's the hope, at least. So now we're gonna throw in the door on this wall and hope that it turns out all right. We're just kind of blocking it in, and then we're going to add a little bit more red toward the top of the door, because the door isn't a black hole, right? It is going to reflect some of the light coming from the exit sign that's going to be above the door. That's where this red light is coming from in this particular room. So, but I wanted to put the door in first. I was going to try and be careful to not get paint on myself, which I'm usually very unsuccessful with, but we'll see. Okay. gonna check something real quick. Ah, I did it again. My apologies, everybody. If you saw an ad in the middle of the show here. Again, I try to time those so that I'm taking a break, but I forgot to run one before the stream started. So, sorry if you missed anything in what we were doing. I don't think we've done too much. That you might have missed, but still, I try to avoid that happening. That actually doesn't look half bad. I'm actually pretty pleasantly surprised with how this is turning out. Add just a little bit of white to that bright red that I put there. Going to feather it out a bit. Like I said, we are going to put some red highlight on this door. And I will bring the camera in closer so you all can see a little bit better what it is that we were working on here. Because I know with this setup it's not the easiest to see. So we'll bring you all in for a closer, more intimate look into what we were doing. I actually think that works. This is working okay. This is one of those details in a painting that you're gonna have to like get up close to see when you're looking at it in an actual space. Yo, Trip, how's it going? How's it going? Good morning to you. Hope the morning's treating you well. Can you see the map? Well, unfortunately, Trip, this is all the map I can show you. That's about it. So. But yeah, I hope you're doing well. Good to see you. We're just working on some tiny little details in this little window space. No map playthrough of art. Am I going to deconstruct this one? That is the plan, yeah. Yeah, I'm going to deconstruct certain parts of it. This isn't going to be one of those where the entire thing is deconstructed. It's going to be like the clouds one that I did previously, where only certain aspects of this one are going to be deconstructed. Namely, basically around these two windows. That's the plan. You see, I got more paint. I did get more paint. Actually, I went and picked it up today. Oh, delirium. So the map thing is a little inside joke that Trip has there. He asks streamers when he goes into their streams if he could see the map, which is more applicable in video game streams. But and for deconstruct, so what I do, yeah, he's trolling me. It's all good. So what I do with this particular, let me get in front of the camera. What I'm doing with this particular set of paintings, because this is one in a series that I'm actually working on to get into a show, where basically I'm exploring the idea of, in these modern times, for people around our age, because I'm 31, I'm going to be turning 32 soon, a lot of us have kind of been barred in a lot of ways of drawing a map. No, yeah, it was just a little trolling. But our age group is kind of it's been harder for us to reach milestones that were seen as kind of like a normal for human beings, whether that's like, when you're going through life progressing, like, getting a good job with good wages, and then like buying a house, having a family, and a lot of this stuff is like fairly unattainable for a number of reasons, whether it's because the wages haven't increased with inflation, everything's more expensive, the housing market is crazy, environmental factors, with climate change and all that kind of stuff, are keeping people from being really optimistic about a lot of what adult life has to offer. So I'm kind of exploring that through painting scenes that are very realistic to start with, and then I'll kind of scuff them up and glitch them and abstract them, like certain aspects of it, to sort of represent reality deconstructing, much like how reality has deconstructed for a lot of us. Because, I'm 32, I'm basically going to have to win the lottery in order to buy a house, Yes, true. Yes. That's a myth. But basically, like, I'm going to have to my girlfriend and I would have to win the lottery to buy a house, right? And that's where a lot of people are, basically, in order to get a raise, now it's more advisable, instead of asking for a raise at the place that you're at, you're more likely to get a raise like jumping jobs and going to a different job, people have less buying power than they used to. It's one of those things where, like, there's a lot of things for our generation that are a lot better, and there are a lot of things, basic things that were seen as basic, that are a lot worse. So it's kind of an exploration in that, but in a more abstract way, I guess. So that's what I meant by deconstruct. Yeah, existential crisis represented through art. That's what this series is, basically. And it's kind of represented through a glitch. Sort of like glitching up the space. Yeah. Yeah, more or less trip. That's okay. Now we're gonna see if I can put if I'm good enough to actually put also a big part of it too is like we've seen through the last couple of years like the social movements that we've gone through in terms of like protesting for like social and civil rights here and abroad, that we thought we wouldn't really have to, a lot of people felt we wouldn't have to, they wouldn't resurface because like for instance like this the civil rights movement was in the 60s and a lot of people got it in their minds that like, hey, cool, like minorities, black people specifically, finally got their rights. You know, we're going to be able to move on from this. And it's like, well, no, there's still the. I mean, there's always been protests, but nothing quite captured the attention of my nation of Canada and the States, like the Black Lives Matter movement after George Floyd was killed in 2020. So it's also kind of like okay, we're circling right back to these types of protests again, where people are protesting for their rights when it should just be a given, you know. So just sort of an exploration and all that. Yeah, no, like that was just that's just one aspect of the whole thing, and it's a much more complicated situation. But yeah, that's just one aspect of this that I was looking. It's sort of like a bigger picture type thing. I actually need a little bit more glow around this light. I'm going to actually explore the factors of the glitch in my art. Probably with some later pieces. Once I get those ideas more fleshed out. Um, but this whole series is kind of a work in progress as I go. Okay, that's a little bit too much glow. I need a little bit more red. All right, Jake, have a good night, man. Thanks for tuning in, and thank you for the congrats. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. But yeah, with a later pieces trip, I'll probably start introducing the factors that are causing the glitch more and more. Thank you. I appreciate that. I did have a piece that I did right around Christmas, actually. I did it on stream where, again, it was sort of an abstract idea, but I guess the first iteration of a factor causing the glitch is sort of like it's a big giant room that's like kind of lit with red, and then there's a room adjacent where it's very dark in there, but you kind of see the silhouette of a figure, and they're kind of hidden, but all the area around this figure and like the adjacent door are glitched out. So it sort of hints at like, oh, is that what's causing the glitch? So I'll probably get a little more direct with some later pieces. But for now, I've kept it kind of esoteric. Yeah, 100. I can't believe it, really. I'm very, very thankful to each and every single one of you who decided to follow me just making a mess on the canvas and just having some fun. It's really been a lot of fun. I say that like I'm going somewhere. I'm not going anywhere. But it's been a treat to be able to explore my artistic visions with you guys. Especially because usually I'm just talking to myself while I'm doing all this. Oh yeah, life is definitely fluid. That is a good question though. Like, are we gonna look back in 30 years or so and be like, well, I mean, it was actually fine. I mean, we very well could. And that would kind of render this series meaningless. So maybe I'm being a little myopic with it. But I guess it's just sort of tapping into my feelings as of right now. I do have to kind of change the angle of one of the walls, but I'm gonna bring you guys in here. See if this actually shows up on camera. Yeah, there's a little bit of glare on there because there's a tiny bit of glare just because of the paint is still a little bit wet, but that's what that room looks like now. And I'm actually pretty happy with how that turned out. Yeah, life definitely isn't fine for a lot of people. And art, I agree. Art representing it starts the conversation. You know? At least for some people. Some people will look at my stuff and just be like, oh man, that just looks cool. And I mean, hey, that's fine. That's fine. And I think it's a conversation worth having. Okay, where'd my brush go? There it is. Because this angle is a little bit off. So I just have to change that up a bit. Yeah. And I guess on the whole too, you could argue that this is why I like conversations like this, because I've always said that when I do my artwork and I put it out for people to see, whether it's in a show, whether it's online, whether it's in a format like this, I can have my ideas for what I want the piece to be, right? And my ideas are coming from a dude who's in his early 30s, and I certainly don't think life is bleak. But there's some aspects of life that I think are fairly unattainable for me right now, and that might change down the line. But this kind of art, the glitch represents what it represents to me, but it could represent something to somebody completely different. Like it could represent something completely different to someone who's in their 60s, you know, because maybe life is deconstructing for them in a different way, right? Imagine life not being fine. Yeah. Yeah, connecting generationally is nearly impossible. So basically, I've always said that with my art, once I put it out there, I can have whatever interpretation of that I want for my own art. But once it's out there, it's not my interpretation doesn't matter anymore. Now, that can be for the better, that can be for the worse. I love it when people look at my stuff and take something completely different out of it than I thought. But like I said, that can be for the better or worse. Like, if my art was co-opted to be used for like a neo-Nazi group, I wouldn't be okay with that, but I have no control over that, right? Outside of like copyright laws, but like if someone were to take a piece of mine and like use it as a backdrop in a video where they're like spouting off, racially insensitive nonsense, like I wouldn't be okay with it, but I have no control over what someone does with my work once I put it out there. If someone, like I could sit there, if someone were to take a viewpoint out of this that I completely disagree with, I can say that I disagree with it. But to give you a good example, I think his name's Ray Bradbury. He wrote Fahrenheit 451. And he had his ideas of what the book was about. He went to go speak at a university about what that book was about. And the university students told him that he was wrong about his own interpretation of his work. Now, I think that's a little ridiculous. I think that's a little ridiculous to tell somebody that they're completely wrong with their interpretation, especially when it's the person who wrote it. But Ray Bradbury couldn't do anything about it because they took out of the book what they wanted, even if it was completely in contrast to what he wanted, right? I've recently enjoyed the art of Jonathan Harris and his topical art on critical race theory. We Wear the Mask. I'm going to have to check out both Jonathan Harris and We Wear the Mask. Actually, I'm going to look up We Wear the Mask right now, and I'm going to look up Jonathan Harris, I'm just going to pull him up on Google just so I don't forget. Because I'm liable to forget. Paul Laurence Dunbar. And not Jonathan Hattress. Goodness. Also, not Jonathan Harris, the character actor. Jonathan Harris, artist. There we go. There we go. All right, so I will check those out later. We wear the mask that grins and lies. It hides our cheeks and shades our eyes. I won't read the whole thing out loud. You know, Zell, that's the beautiful thing about art, because I see definitely how that poem connects the interpretation that you have, because it's very true. You know, your interpretation that we all wear masks and we all conceal so many parts of ourselves, which is just, that's part of the game of being human. And I also read that poem and I see how it's about slavery as well. Like, it's kind of amazing how art can take on so many different forms that way. Also, it allows us to express emotions. And how art can, like, kind of suggest emotions that aren't there. Like, for a lot of my work, if you looked at my art, like, you would think that I was a pretty, like, cynical, like, not narcissistic, negative person. I don't think I am. But art allows me to sort of explore those thoughts and feelings that I have that might be more on that side. When really, like, I'm not apt to like voice those things because I don't necessarily feel them all the time. Um, Ooh, you know what? You know what, Trip? I've seen this painting before. I have seen this painting before, and I really, really like it. I remember seeing it the first time and being like, "Whoa, okay." There's a lot of people that ain't gonna like this. Speaking of, one thing that we all do, um, but is kind of brought up in a lot of like. I've talked about. We wear the masks, make me cry every time. Don't really read and think about it. Yeah, yeah. And going back to Zell saying that like we all wear masks to conceal our true selves. I've always liked the idea of discussing with people, the idea of code switching, right? Um, Now everybody code switches from time to time because code switching is as simple as, uh, like there's certain words or phrases that you won't use around your parents that you'll use with other people, right? Um, that's a very basic example of code switching, where it's just like you'll change part of your personality and part of who you are uh, around certain people, right? Like growing up in my household, like my mom never swore. Uh, my dad doesn't swear a lot. I don't tend to raise my voice a lot because my parents didn't yell, right? My parents were not yellers. Um, my mom, when she would get excited about something, would raise her voice, when she was happy excited. But outside of that, like we're not yellers, right? So being in a situation where people are yelling, it doesn't make me uncomfortable, but it's so foreign to me because it's like, yo, why are we yelling, right? Um, so on top of that, because my parents didn't swear either, like it's really weird. Well, it's not actually really weird because I didn't really start swearing until I went to university. And then when I came home from university, it's like, okay, I got to be really careful not to like, swear. But now it just comes naturally, where like I don't even think about not swearing around my dad because it's like speaking two languages. Like I speak a different language around my friends, around my girlfriend than I do around my parents, or I would around my grandparents, right? Um, so like code switching is as simple as that, but it also delves into like, you know, um, if I'm going into a situation that is, say, predominantly white, like I will sort of be drawn to dress a certain way. Like I probably won't wear a hoodie, especially with the hood up, right? I'll speak differently, and it's unconscious. It's conscious but unconscious at the same time. Like it's the weirdest thing, and that's like in terms of race. Because I don't want to come off as threatening, you know. Code switching is automatic growing up in a traditional household where the hierarchy is firmly established. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, Zell, I didn't talk the same way at home as I did at school. You know. And it's even subtler than that. I don't talk the same way to my dad as I do to my girlfriend's parents, right? It's as simple as like I use a little bit more slang with my dad than I do with my girlfriend's parents. You know. But yeah, like code switching also comes into like how I present myself. Like I know like if I'm going into a store, like I should probably dress a little nicer. Now some days I can't be bothered and I don't. I go in there in sweats in a t-shirt or sweats in a hoodie. But I know that I'm probably going to get more looks if I dress that way. And some days like I dress up so that I don't deal with it. Hey, I gotta say, I don't know anything about coffee switching because sometimes Dunkin' just doesn't taste the same. I don't know anything about I don't know anything about coffee because I don't drink it. I've never like let me tell y'all the story. So, my parents had a rule in our house where they didn't want any of us drinking coffee until we were 16. So I was more or less withheld coffee until I was 16 years old. And my parents drank coffee, right? And I would wake up every morning and I would smell the coffee and it would smell so good. And I would come downstairs and yeah, they'd have their coffee and be like, oh man. I'd be counting down my birthday to my birthday to see like, okay, I'm almost 16. I can almost drink coffee, right? So my 16th birthday, I come downstairs and my dad's like, do you want to try some coffee? And I was like, yeah. So my mom poured me a mug of coffee and my dad was like, what do you want in it? I was like, 2 creams, 2 sugars. So I put 2 cream, 2 sugar in there, stirred it up and it smelled so good and I drank it and I immediately was like, what the hell is wrong with everybody? This is disgusting. This is absolutely disgusting. Who drinks this? Now, I'm a little older now, and I understand why people like coffee. Obviously, I understand why people like coffee. Like, it's a very rich flavor, and I do like coffee flavored, like coffee crisp. I'll eat coffee crisp. Tiramisu, like I'll eat tiramisu. But I don't like coffee itself. Certainly understand why people like coffee. It's a very rich flavor. It's a very, I would say it's a very adult flavor because it's very bitter. And like the older you get, like your taste buds change, right? So I definitely get it. But coffee has just never clicked with me. Never clicked with me. Which is funny because my dad drinks coffee. My mom drank coffee all her life. All 3 of my siblings drink coffee. I'm the odd one out. I had a long convo with my friend in Wisconsin and how he needs to act while being in a supermarket because being black, people would run their trolleys at him because he was tall. Yeah. Yep. And dressing a certain way like makes people automatically think like you're up to no good, like you're a criminal or some stuff like that. Yeah, it's yeah. You gonna lurk? Well, thanks for hanging out for a bit, Zell. I do appreciate it. Wife time, very important, very important. So I will leave you with our little song. I always feel like somebody's watching me. Thank you for the lurk, Zell. I hope you enjoyed time with your wife and your family. So dressing a certain way, I get it. So yeah. There we go. Well, getting back to art, we straightened up that we straightened that up now. Oh, we got another lurker, Sputnik Plop. Thank you for the lurk. I appreciate it. You know what's coming. I always feel like somebody's watching me. I appreciate the lurk. I hope you enjoy what you're seeing. I am more and more interested in protest art since Hong Kong. Yeah. It's a very, very powerful vehicle. Protest art, I think. Especially how mad people get with protest art sometimes. Which I guess is kind of the goal for art. I've always said that the worst thing in the art coming out of BL, very raw and very visceral. Yeah. Which is funny because, like, one of my friends asked me if I was planning on doing anything out of that. And it's like, well, I think my style is a lot more subtle. I've always been, like, just a much subtler person, so... Like, I suppose some of my art... like this series, like BLM is definitely part of it in terms of like the disconnect. The glitchiness could also be like a disconnect that I feel with some of the people who I thought I knew pretty well, and then BLM happened, and some of the stuff that came out of their mouth was like, all right, I didn't know this about you, or how you felt about people like me. So cool. That's good. That's good to know. So I feel like this series might also kind of be a reaction to that as well. You know. Yeah, it's hard to say, but I think that's probably part of it as well. Yeah, yeah. Thankfully, I didn't lose too many friends. I lost some people who were kind of on the fringes anyway, and I was like, okay, yeah, no, it's time to sever this. In terms of like friends, I maybe only lost like one or two. Thankfully, I was one of the lucky ones. But there were just some people saying stuff that I'm like, what? Mm. I had a lot of discussion because, like, predominantly my family is black, but there are some people in my family who are white who married into the family. Like my grandmother on my mom's side was French Canadian, right? Yeah, I've had discussion with people with privilege, and they don't get it, which I kind of get. Thankfully, most of them like came around when I explained what it was. But some of them are just like, that's not privilege. And it's like, well, I don't know what else to say to you. I don't know what I can possibly say to get through your head. Like, living in privilege is not it doesn't make you a bad person, right? Like myself. This is the way, because someone asked me what white privilege was, and I made a video about it that I put on like Instagram and Facebook. In case people had questions about this whole thing. And I was like, basically, white privilege is... privilege of any kind is basically like you benefit from something that that you have no control over, right? That is just inherited because of forces beyond your control. You just inherit this privilege. So, for instance, I am black, but exactly. Every Canadian living in Canada who's not Indigenous is living in privilege. As a man, I have privilege. I have male privilege because never once have I thought twice about it being like 10 p.m. and I go to the store and I park far away from the store because I don't like parking close to stores because I don't trust pedestrians, right? Where I park all the way across the parking lot, walk to the store and walk back. I have never once thought about holding the keys in my hand so that if someone comes up on me, like I can like defend myself, right? That's never entered my mind. Being straight, I've never had to deal with the thought that I'm gonna have to come out to my family and they might disown me, right? It's never been a thought that's run through my mind, you know, and that's a privilege, right? That's all it is. Neither of those things make me a bad person. What makes me a bad person is if I recognize those things and then don't try to make things better for other people, right? Who don't have those privileges. You know, that's what would make me a bad person. Well, thank you, Trip. I don't know if I'm amazing. But I'm glad you think so. Also, Sputnik, thank you. I appreciate that. This may end up being a print later on. And, you know, unfortunately, art is expensive, but I will say that prints are a lot less expensive. So, if I make this a print, like, y'all are more than welcome to buy a print, or, you know, if not, that's also cool too. If y'all are content with I just hope you guys don't, what I hope you don't do is take a picture of this off the internet and make it into an NFT. Please don't do that. Omega low. Yeah. But you know that the combo and the topic is we're talking about needs talking about, and your art started this entire conversation. So your art did what it was supposed to do. Thank you. Yeah, I was gonna say earlier, one of the worst things for an artist, at least for me, is if someone went to my artwork and just looked at it and went, interesting, and then just walked away. Like, I want my art to cause some sort of emotion, positive or negative. Like, if people hate my work, especially if they hate it because it's like, to quote Kanye West, too black, too vocal, too flagrant, not that I don't think I've done any pieces like that, but if they hated my art because it was too, like, too much, that would also make me happy, because you know what? That stirred some sort of emotion in you. If my art didn't stir any emotion in anybody, like, it's just a piece of wall art that they put in their bathroom or whatever, I mean, that's like, well, what am I doing? Not that I have anything against like art that you put in your bathroom or like motel art or anything. I think there are some wonderful pieces that have been in bathrooms and hotel rooms that I've been in. But it's sort of like that sort of like reaction to it. It's like, I need something in this room, that'll work. Like, I don't want my art to be that. Ooh, yeah. I'm definitely going to do a print of that big piece. Actually, because I don't think we're going to get... Actually, I don't know if I have room to do that. Never mind. Forget I said anything. But yeah, much like how athletes know when it's time to hang it up, I would know that it's time to maybe either shift my focus or stop producing art if people were starting to have the, oh, that's nice reaction to a lot of my work, and that was the only reaction that it was getting. It's like, okay, maybe I've lost my touch, maybe I need to refocus, Speaking of all this BLM stuff, though, one thing, because there were a couple of people, unfortunately, some relatives of mine, some relatives of my girlfriend's family. Thankfully, not any like close relatives, but there were some people who would question me on stuff that was like, had nothing to do with basically what am I trying to say here? It was veering into those scenarios where I, as a black man, had to answer for every single iniquity and bad thing that other black people have done in the name of justice, in the name of injustice. And it's like, I didn't realize that I was the grand emperor of black people. I'm glad you think I am. I should probably get paid more money to be that. But I can't answer for all these people. Yeah, you know what? I think OJ was guilty too. Like, OJ definitely did that shit, but I can't do anything about it. Also, it's not relative to this conversation. It got me thinking about reality. I didn't get the glitch yet. I felt things were off with reality and actually was moving to me, so principally... Oh, yeah. If you check out my website, you can see the prints that I have now, and I'm going to be adding some more. The print shop has just kind of been hard to get to since we've been in sort of the mini lockdown again, and I've started my new job, which takes up most of my time during the day, when I would usually drive to the print shop and get prints. But it's harder here with the humidity, that's fair. Yes, I was their solution to working out all the wrongs and rationalization they wanted to just. I like the way you put that. I'm gonna have to put that on a bumper sticker. I'm gonna have to remember that. But yeah, that's exactly what they wanted. They wanted easy answers, and it's like, listen. Brown versus the Board of Education was like 1953, I think. It was the states, but like, this is a conversation that we're going to be having for a very, very long time until everybody is beige, and even then, people are going to start like, you know, segregating people and discriminating against people for their eye color or their hair color or because they're tall or they're short. It's like, we're always going to do that. It's human nature to divide people out of fear, you know, fear of something being different. Like, so this is a discussion we're going to have for a very long time, and I'm sorry, I can't solve the problem of police brutality and why black people act a certain way around police, you know. Like, the number of times, like, well, if they would just stop, like, acting suspicious, like, they wouldn't be in trouble with the police. And it's like, oh, all right. Okay. Sure. I think a lot of it, what it taught me too, this whole thing, was knowing when to walk away from an argument, because a person, or a debate, I should say, because people weren't really interested in hearing your opinion on it. They just wanted a debate. I hate it when people expect us to make them feel better when they were, yeah. Which is funny, because I will happily talk about the topic. I mean, I've been black my entire life, you know. I will gladly talk about my experience and other people's experiences, you know. If they ask with open honesty, because like I got a lot of that from my girlfriend's family, actually, because a lot of them hadn't, like, the events of 2020 kind of opened their eyes to, like, oh my goodness. Like, my girlfriend's mom said that she would never think twice about, like, asking a police officer for help if there was a situation that warranted calling the police. And I was like, you see, like, obviously, like, there are obviously good police officers and all that kind of stuff, but, like, in some situations, I would be kind of, like, I'd be on my toes if police officers showed up, even in Canada. Because it's like, I've had too many, my family as a whole, like my younger brother, my older brother, my dad, I'm sure my sister, like me, like we've had too many, like, kind of iffy and downright terrifying, in some cases, experiences with police officers. Like, I don't trust them, you know. I don't trust them enough to be like, to flag them down and be like, hey, we need help over here. You know. Even indirectly, I used to work in a and it also, like, unfortunately too, it's not just police, it's institutions. I used to work at a museum that was within a community center in the east side of my hometown. And the east side has kind of recently become known as being, like, you know, where all the drugs are and all that kind of stuff. And I remember there was a dude, I was at work one day, and there was a dude ODing outside of our building, right? He needed medical attention. So we called the ambulance. My aunt, who manages the community center, she called the paramedics. And it was taking them a really long time to get there. And she called them again, and they were like, we have no units in that area. We will send them when we can. But come to find out that there's an ambulance that sits out on, like, one of the township lines. It would have taken them, like, 5 minutes, 10 minutes to get to us. But because this was a dude in the east side ODing, they were kind of, like, dragging their feet, hoping that another call would come in. Turns out, like, the fire department showed up before the ambulances did. So they were, like, starting to administer first aid and all that kind of stuff. And then the ambulance showed up and took him to the hospital. Just ridiculous. That's exactly right, Trip. That's exactly right. Alright. So I think this actually looks good. Like, I like how this room turned out. So I think I'm going to stop with this room before I screw it up more. Yeah, it was. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just take a quick little break, just grab some water, and then when I get back, I think we're going to start doing a little bit of abstraction. Yeah, I think that's the next step. So I'm going to take a quick break, and then we will be right back. So we'll see y'all in just a couple. Oh, that's the entire conversation with privilege that I had with his relative. Yeah, that's tough. That's tough. Well, Trip, I don't have to do that, but if anybody does need to do that, now is the time to do it. So we'll see y'all in about a minute or so. All right, and we're back. Thank you all for your patience. Okay, so I think... Oh, you know what? Actually, there is one more thing we have to add, because my younger brother mentioned it on stream the other day. I'm going to add a crow just in the top of this tree. It was very quick, Trip. Very quick. Alright, unfortunately you can't really see that. I'm noticing on camera, but artist works fast. But I did throw a crow up near the top of this tree. So y'all just have to take my word for it until I zoom in with the camera. Actually, I'm going to zoom out now. Here we go. Because we're now going to start adding some abstraction. And like this one, just like the last one, like I really like how that room turned out. So I'm not going to touch that. I'm not going to touch the clouds so much. It's going to be much more centralized around these windows. That's where the abstraction is really going to come from. So I'm going to grab my palette knife. Let me actually grab my palette knife. I was starting to walk back toward my palette without the knife. See, this is what I like about art. The fact that it opened up conversations like this, you know? Because they're not always the nicest of conversations, but they're conversations that need to be had, you know? Far too many things go unsolved for years upon years because no one talks about them. Yeah. All right. So, I'm gonna grab some red paint and some black paint and mix them together. Actually, we're gonna need more black. It's a little bit too red for my liking. And let's start the glitching. It's like those romantic comedies, right? Where like there's a misunderstanding and had the protagonist just like talked for 2 minutes, they would have been like, oh, no, everything's fine. But they don't. And nothing gets solved. I'm going to stick to vertical. Yeah. Because I think if I do any horizontal here, like, this is on such an angle that it's just gonna mess with the angle. And I made a decision during these last 2 years, that is, I tried and I can't talk to someone about it in a meaningful way. And the convo was heading toward racist rhetoric and rhetoric. I was gonna step away. It's not my job and I'm not gonna stand for it. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, that's sometimes the hardest thing to do, is like just being like, okay, all right, that's enough. This person's actually not interested in anything I have to say, so I'm gonna step away from it. That's hard to come to as well, because like, you know, especially if it's someone that you know well, you know. Oh, I'm glad that you find it satisfying. It's it is fun. I enjoy it quite a bit. Do I want to introduce a little bit of red to this? I think I do. But yeah, Delirium, if you're still here, this is kind of the deconstruction phase that we were talking about earlier. Yes, this is the piece where I was laying down the background and I kept losing bristles. Yeah, this is the one. If you look really, really closely, you can still see where some of the bristles are that I couldn't get, but overall, thankfully I was able to get most of them. I'm also deciding, I've decided that I'm not going to abstract in the windows. Just because I feel like that'll detract from the piece. It'll be a little bit too distracting. So I'm just going to stick to abstracting around them. Yeah, exactly. So it doesn't pull too much focus. Yeah. Because I really like how these windows turned out, so I don't want to pull away from them too much. Hey, Ellipse. Thank you. Thank you for the. Thank you for chatting. Welcome to the chat. Welcome to the channel. Thank you for learning, and also thank you for the follow, because I noticed that that you had followed either yesterday or a couple of days ago, but I appreciate it. And also thank you for the lurk. As you're lurking, you'll learn that we sing a little song when you lurk. So I always feel like somebody's watching me. Thank you, Alex. I appreciate it. I hope you're enjoying the stream so far. You know, interesting note about that song. Interesting note about that song. I always assumed that that song was Berry Gordy calling in a favor to Michael Jackson, because Rockwell, who did the song, is Berry Gordy's son, right? And Berry Gordy was the head of Motown. And I always figured that because of their Motown ties with the Jackson 5 and all that kind of stuff, it was Berry Gordy saying, like, Michael, listen, my son really wants to do this song. Can you please come, just sing the chorus on it? Maybe bring Jermaine and he can do some ad-libbing to it. And Michael was like, yeah, okay, Berry. But it turns out that's not the case at all. Berry Gordy actually wasn't that impressed by the song when his son showed him a demo of it. But Michael, because the thing is, like, Michael was a kid when they went to Motown, right? Obviously, like, all the Jackson 5 were kids. Rockwell was also a kid. So Michael would hang out with Rockwell. Like, his brothers would hang out with Rockwell. They would all hang out with Rockwell as Rockwell was growing up. So Rockwell went over to, like, I think it was Havenhurst, wherever the Jackson family was living, and was kind of playing the demo to Michael, and Michael was like bringing in his siblings, like, hey, come look what Rockwell did. Now, obviously, he wasn't known as Rockwell to them. That was his stage name, but I forget Barry's son's real name, so I'm just going to call him Rockwell. But he was like, yo, come see what Rockwell did. And then he was like, so what are you going to do with it? And Rockwell was like, I don't know, my dad didn't really. And Michael was like, well, you should record it. You should record it. Like, and I'll sing on it. So really, it was the opposite. Like, his dad wasn't that impressed with it. And then Rockwell actually released the single without letting his dad know. Because his dad was the head of Motown, but he didn't have a hand in every single record that went out, right? So his dad heard it afterwards and was like, oh, wow, that's actually a good song. But yeah, it was actually, and the part that really blew me away was the fact that, it never occurred to me that, yes, of course, Michael would have grown up with Berry Gordy's kids. I mean, hell, Jermaine married one of Berry Gordy's daughters. So, like, it makes sense that they would know each other. And then Michael was, like, willing to do it and, like, was excited to do it. you know? Because it was one of those songs I always assumed it was just someone cashing in on Michael's success with Thriller, right? Because it's kind of a creepy song, and it was released in '84, right around, like, 2 years after Thriller was, and it's like, okay, sure. So yeah, fun fact of the day. Somebody's Watching Me wasn't released out of nepotism, and wasn't released just to cash in on Michael Jackson's fame. Which somehow makes me feel better about the whole thing. Sometimes the story behind songs is so interesting. Oh yeah, Behind the Music. Yeah, that was a cool show. I missed that show. Hey, Zeph. Zeph, welcome in. Welcome in. Good to see you. Well, I'm glad that you lurk, and I appreciate the kind words. I really do. I really do. And also because you're lurking, you know what's coming. I always feel like somebody's watching me. That's got to be a record for the number of times that I've sung that during a stream. But I appreciate you lurking. I appreciate you checking out. I appreciate the words. It means a lot to me. And I hope you're enjoying it so far. We need a little bit more abstraction over. That's the stuff. But yeah, Behind the Music was a cool show. I'm a big fan of documentaries, and right now, like we still have to watch the next episode, but I'm really enjoying Get Back so far. I won't say that I'm like a huge Beatles fan. In being a groundbreaking group, obviously you're gonna have like some songs that are duds, and there's a lot of songs by the Beatles where I'm much more intrigued by their later work than their earlier work. Like She Loves You is a good song, and Hard Day's Night and all that kind of stuff. Like I like that, but like Revolver and Beyond is more what I'm interested with the Beatles. But Get Back is really, really interesting. This isn't a spoiler alert or anything, but I have to agree with a lot of people. Is like I didn't realize that Paul McCartney was somewhat of a... He obviously wasn't a tyrant, but he was kind of like acting as like the leader of the group and was kind of a jerk, but also like he was mostly right about a lot of the stuff that he would suggest. Yeah. See, Revolver, the thing is with Revolver has two of yeah, Sgt. Pepper. Sgt. Pepper's great. But Revolver has two of my favorite Beatles songs. If they're not my favorite Beatles songs, like they're up near the top of the list. Because I love Taxman and I love Eleanor Rigby. So, imagine someone calling Soul an excellent artist. Couldn't be me. Well, it couldn't be me either. I'm truthfully, I've got a lot of work to do before I feel comfortable calling myself that. It took a lot of work for me to call myself an artist. Even then, that kind of makes me go like, I'm not an artist. I'm just a dude who draws and paints stuff. Yeah. Eleanor Rigby is oof. But I'm really loving Get Back. I wish there were more music based documentaries out there. One of my favorites, actually, it's called Soul Power, and it's all about the concert that was put on during the like to get ready for the Rumble in the Jungle, like the Muhammad Ali George Foreman fight in what was then Zaire, and now the Democratic Republic of the Congo. They're fighting Kinshasa, and it's all about like the because they had the fight obviously, but they had a huge musical festival that was going to take place before the fight, and they had that festival, and then found out that the fight was going to be delayed 4 weeks or something like that. So, because George Foreman got cut above his eye during training. A day in the life, yeah. I am the walrus. Definitely a mental thing where I'm sure you have a moment where you would say made it as an artist, and that oh yeah, that no is not ever a thought that comes in my head, because I know as soon as I think that, it's all going to come crumbling down, which it probably won't, but in my mind, like, yeah, so I'm right there, Zo. I am right there. Yeah, that's fair. That is fair. I think that's a thing with a lot of people, creative and non-creative, actually. But creative people, especially, like it's well, not even especially, but because I come in contact with more creative people. Yeah, you kind of feel like a fraud. Yeah. Yeah, and you don't want to jinx it. Even outside, like the job I have now, like there are some days where I'm sitting there and I'm like, why are they paying me to do this job? Like what? No, they should go get someone who's qualified. You know, I'm not fitting to let them know that, but. Okay. The workforce is an interesting place. Yeah. Yeah, it was a great musical festival, and it's a great documentary. Yeah, it's called Soul Power. If you could find it, and then whether or not you're interested in sports, the sort of corollary, because this one's about the fight. The corollary documentary is called When We Were Kings, which is actually about the fight and the lead up to the fight, which is also a fantastic documentary that has some of the music that was in the festival that preceded the fight. But yeah, I'm a big fan of documentaries. All right, I'm just gonna let this dry for a minute to kind of let like the blacks settle a little. And then I'll kind of reevaluate what else I want to do to it, because I might add a little bit more black here. But I'm just going to take a step back and see. Oh yeah. What they actually do for that documentary is they talk to a lot of sort of historians. Like they talk to. In particular, they talked to authors George Plimpton and why can I not remember his name? He got in a big fight with Salman Rushdie once, or not Salman Rushdie. Let me look that up. Because it was a fight on the Dick Cavett show. Dick Cavett show fight authors. It was Gore Vidal and Norman Mailer. So they talked to George Plimpton and Norman Mailer mostly, because they were there at the fight and they were like covering the fight and writing about the fight. I think it's a really interesting documentary as well. The days before Google, when sitting in a bar, you'd argue for the entire. You admire my ability to have two conversations at once. Zell, I have like 16 conversations going on in my head. 2 is nothing. 2 with actual people is actually kind of refreshing. But yeah, as you were saying, the workforce is an interesting place. I'm not against the workforce, but if there ever came a day where I could just like I take a lot of pride in the work that I do in the workforce, right? Like every single job that I've had, I've taken pride in. I work hard. I try to do a good job. I try to treat people with respect, especially like when I was working retail. Like I've taken pride in every single job that I've done. But if there ever came a time where universal basic income ever became a thing, like a viable thing that you could actually, it provided a livable wage for whatever area you were living in, I would go on that in a heartbeat, and I would just paint and draw all day. Like, yeah, you definitely get beat down. Yep. 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 And most of the time is because they know a guy who would be good at that job. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. No, I feel that. That happened to a lot of people I went to school with. They got out of university, and then like the recession hit, and then like nobody was hiring, and then those who were hiring were only hiring people that they knew. Yeah, like it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. That's why I find myself very fortunate that I was able to find a job, and I don't take that for granted. But yeah, if there ever came a day where I was financially stable enough to just paint and draw all day, like I'm doing that. Probably have a few more gaming streams in there too. Yeah, because I don't hate work. I don't hate doing a good job. I don't hate working hard. I actually love all those things. But my dad asked me once, like, if I have a dream job, and I had to sit there and be like, actually, you know what? Outside of doing artwork full time, I don't think I do. I think I just want a job where, you know, I just, I gain enough money to keep a roof over my head and keep my girlfriend and I fed. I mean, she works too. So as long as our basic needs are met and we can get a few toys here and there, like, I'm set, and I don't really need a dream job to do that, I don't think. Like, I would want a job that I don't actively hate. Because I've only ever had one job that I actively hated the entire time I was there, and that was when I was in my second year of university, and over the summer I worked at KFC. That, unless I had a family to feed, I am never working at KFC again. I'd never put myself through that again. You're considering an overnight job, but would love to do what you like for work. What is that, if I may ask? What is it that you would love to do? Oh, streaming. Right. Trip, why KFC? Because Jake from the Woods was working at this KFC, and he said, hey, they're hiring if you want to make some like spending money. And I was like, well, it'll be more textbook money for next year, but yeah, I'll go apply. Ah, that's fair. That's fair as well. Yep. Yeah, that would be cool to see. if that ever happened to you, I would feel the same way with you as I did with one of the guys that I've been watching on YouTube for ages and ages, Nintendo Capri Sun. When he finally got a partnership and he got to leave his job at Pick and Save. He was so happy about it. And all of us viewers were so happy for him too. Because he was starting to really hate it there. But yeah, I would be elated. I'm elated whenever anybody can get something that they really, really love doing. Unless they love warmongering. I probably wouldn't be too thrilled for them with that. Okay. I don't think this painting is done, actually. We're getting close. There's going to be a little bit more abstraction to do. But you like warmongering? Well, get out of my chat, Trip. Let me get my tank. If I can make even a quarter of a living and share new games with people, that would be amazing. Yeah. You see the glitches, yeah. So, let me grab my phone. So yeah, I don't think I'm done quite with the glitches because there's a little bit more that I want to do. But that will have to wait till next time, I think. But I like how it's turning out so far. Like we're almost there. We are 96% of the way done with this painting. There's some more like touch-ups that I want to do and all that kind of stuff, but we're almost there. We are almost there. Okay, alright. Let me grab my chair. Kind of looks as if the window leads some there. Yeah. Yeah, so, I mean, that's what I would do with the tank, too. I mean, I would definitely just sell it. Like, that's like, my car isn't the greatest. Like, I've got a 2001 Camry, but if I won a car, like, I'm pretty sure I would just sell the car. Like, not my Camry, because my Camry's fine. Like, there's nothing wrong with my Camry. I'd probably just sell the new car. That's also a good conversation starter? Yeah, I think so. The fact that, like, some of the glitches seem to be leading to the... Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of what I was hoping for with that. But... Camry, yeah. But yeah, that's, I think... all that we're going to do today. This chair, my God. I WD-40'd it and everything. It's still going. So I know we've been doing art, but Camry hype indeed. That car's probably going to outlast me, to be honest. At least the engine will. Chair ASMR. But yeah, I think that's going to do it for us today. We are actually going to go raid somebody, but we're going to raid someone special. It's not going to be another artist. Hey Zeph, thank you. I hope you have a good night too. I hope you enjoyed the stream. Thanks for coming in. I appreciate it. I appreciate all of you coming in, and the fact that we're now at 100 followers is just mind blowing to me. Thank you so much to all of you who decided to come in and you know, just watch this fool paint some stuff. I really do appreciate it. I never would have guessed, but you know, onwards and upwards from here. So today with our raid, thank you, Zell. Thank you. Today with our raid, we're not going to go raid another artist. We are going to go raid my younger brother, who happens to be playing Fallout New Vegas right now. So we're going to go say hi to, let me type out his name here. It's because those guys saw your sick painting. Well, thank you. And no problem, Trip. No problem. Thank you for coming in. I appreciate that. I appreciate you. I appreciate all y'all. If I could type here, that would be great. Raid at Divanavanga Gaming. I feel like someone's watching me. This channel is intended for mature audiences, so y'all know my rule. Be mature over there. But yeah, again, thank you all for watching. I really do appreciate it. And the next art stream is going to be Thursday, same time, 6 p.m. Eastern. Tomorrow we're going to go back to playing Breath of the Wild at 6 p.m. Uh, thank you, Trip. You're also a good dude. You're also a good dude. That was a fun conversation. Everybody in here are good people, at least as far as I could tell, except for that warmongering bit. We got to talk about that, Trip. But yeah, we're gonna go say hi to my younger brother, give him a warm welcome, and yeah, we'll see you. If you're into gaming, we'll see you tomorrow, hopefully at 6, and then we'll see you Thursday, where we're gonna finish this painting. I am the secret dictator. Y'all are funny. All right, I'm gonna end this now. So we'll see you all later. Have a good rest of your day, and yeah, take it easy, everybody.
And says hello.